Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. And my name is Dan, and welcome to a Game Week 33 strategy stream, where we are going to be discussing all things strategy, FPL. Guys, I think in this stream today, mostly what I'm going to be talking about is my own personal strategy and my kind of thoughts on the remaining double game weeks, the remaining fixtures going forward, and how I'm probably going to approach it. We'll have a little bit of discussion of some different ways you can approach it as well, but I'm going to be trying to look mostly from the perspective of my own team, because as you guys can see on screen there, the rank has increased a little bit again, and we're up to 125th in the world. So I'm thinking, can we win FPL? The answer is obviously no. But can we try? Are we ever going to be in a position this good again where we can actually give it a go, actually give it a try to try and win FPL? This is my moment. I'm not going to get another chance like this ever again. So, you know, the chances of it happening are extraordinarily low. But you got to try. You got to try. So we're going to be talking a little bit about differentials, a little bit about different kind of tactics we can employ and how we can try and stray away from the crowd a little bit, which is something I like to do anyway. And yeah, we'll just see how we can get on and talking about all the kinds of stuff like that. So we'll be going on for an hour. I will be answering some of your questions at the end of the stream as well. So hopefully you do enjoy it. If you do, please do leave a like and subscribe if you're new around here as well. But there you go, guys. That is that's my team from last game week. Got 75 points. Really massively carried by Son, if I'm honest. The rest of the team, it could have been better, to be honest. Cornet missed an absolute sitter. You know, Robertson 0 points with those goals conceded and the yellow card. Doherty obviously was injured. Ramsdale and Arsenal really capitulated. So that wasn't so good. But yeah, there was some different bits and bobs going on. But yeah, I was carried by Son. But hopefully we won't have to rely so much on Son going forward in future game weeks. So guys, let's first of all, before we go any further, I want to show you this, and this is just say this looks a little bit nicer. Before we go any further, I want to show you this, and this will change throughout the week as we get more information, as we get those midweek games, which are going to impact the fixtures a lot. But this is what I have updated today in terms of what I am predicting. I'm kind of using this as a provisional guide as to what the fixtures might look like for the rest of the season. I'm going to be kind of trying to go through this and explain this to you guys a little bit. But basically, if I had to guess, and I had to commit to one specific set of fixtures for the rest of the season, this is as pretty much as close as I can get. I put a little asterisk next to the predicted fixtures. If it hasn't got an asterisk in there, it's pretty much confirmed. Unless something crazy happens, it's confirmed. So yeah, we've got asterisk fixtures, which are predictions. Now, the big one that I'm sure most of you guys are most interested in is this one that I've added in Game Week 34, which is Chelsea versus Manchester United. Manchester United versus Chelsea, because Manchester United will be at home. And that has gone into Game Week 34, and that's my best prediction right now. And in order for that to happen, what we would need to see is Chelsea to lose against Real. Well, they don't even need to lose. They need to lose on aggregate against Real Madrid in the Champions League. They're already losing 3-1. So at this point, we are probably predicting that Chelsea might potentially go out of the Champions League. Look, never say die, never say never. They can come back from this, and that would obviously change a few things here. And we'll know about these things before next deadline. I'm just speaking in predictions right now, and I think it would be, you know, a sensible prediction. You know, if we're looking at the odds, we probably expected Chelsea to go out. And also, in order for this to happen, we wanted Chelsea to beat Crystal Palace in the FA Cup, which, again, is possible. Right, would we even need that to happen? Yeah, we would. We've got a quick super chat here from Black and White, who says 91 this week and 168 clear in my mini league. Well done, Black and White. You seem to be absolutely smashing it. That is a phenomenal score. Well played, man. Or lady, or whoever. Well played, basically. So yeah, this is what I'm predicting. I think that because of the way the fixtures kind of lay, Game Week 34, and other people have said this as well, Game Week 34 seems like a good place for Manchester United versus Chelsea to go in. And a big part of that is because after Game Week 34, in Game Week 35, Chelsea play on the Sunday and Manchester United play on the Monday. Because of that, that would allow this fixture to go in on the Thursday after game week 34, which would mean there's plenty of time for Manchester United and Chelsea to both recover between then and their next fixtures, which is a really good thing, because if we can get the fixture on a Thursday, that means there's no clash with the Champions League. And basically, if we're trying to keep everyone happy, and that's what we often have to do, we want the Premier League, particularly the big Premier League games, and Manchester United versus Chelsea will be a big Premier League game. We don't want that to clash with the Champions League games on the Tuesday and a Wednesday. If it has to clash with the Europa League games, that's not so bad, right? So that would mean it would go there. Now, it would be a little bit of a short turnaround between deciding this fixture and, the fans finding out that their fixture's been moved. So that's the one thing. It would be about 10 days to give the fans warning for this game to go here. But yeah, they basically, as long as Chelsea lose in the Champions League and win in the FA Cup, that would be a pretty good place for that fixture to go. It's less likely in game week 35 because of the way the fixtures kind of sit, because Chelsea, like I say, play on a Sunday, Man United play on the Monday. It's gonna be difficult, and then going into game week 36 when the fixtures are played there. Yeah, I don't know if I can be bothered to explain it. I'm probably not the best person to explain it anyway, any further than that. But basically, certain situations happen because of the way the fixtures are kind of set. The course of least resistance, and that is kind of what, when we're trying to predict fixtures, we're looking for the course of least resistance. We're looking for where a fixture can go that causes the least amount of problems elsewhere. The least amount of drama between the Premier League and European conflict, both of those games going on at the same time. The least amount of conflict in terms of, having to move other fixtures, because sometimes moving fixtures can create a little bit of a domino effect. By moving this fixture here, there would be no domino effect. Everything would be hunky-dory, everything amazing. It's not confirmed, but it's something that we can think, potentially this will be what happens. But yeah, if this were to happen, we would find out about it. Before the 33 deadline, which would be good. That would leave, of course, a Man United blank in 37, and everything else is pretty much as things were before. I'll try and quickly explain the Manchester City situation versus West Ham. It's going to be Manchester City versus West Ham. So Manchester City basically can have a double game week in 36 versus either West Ham or Wolves. And that's going to depend on other fixtures. If Manchester City win in their FA Cup semi-final, or if West Ham win in their quarter-final in the Europa League, then that is probably going to mean the Man City versus West Ham moves to game week 36. And that would, in turn, move Man City's fixture against Wolves into game week 37. And that's how that would play out there, and it would look kind of like this. And of course, the other thing is Chelsea versus Crystal Palace in the FA Cup. What's the result of that? Crystal Palace potentially can't double in 37 if they beat Chelsea, because the FA Cup is the FA Cup finals in game week 37. The Europa League final is during game week 37. So both of those would stop doubles there. So hopefully, guys, that makes roughly amount of sense. Like I say, this is just predictions. This is definitely not confirmed, and hopefully by the end of the game week, by Friday, I will be able to update this graphic with some much better detail, much more accurate. That's what we want, really. A nice accurate graphic. That's what we want. We haven't got it right now, but this is the best that I can work from right now. When we're strategizing, we just have to make predictions, don't we, of where fixtures are going to go. So there we go, guys. That is that. Now, onto my team and what I kind of feel like doing going forward. I'm going to bring up FPL.team again. Not sponsored. They don't pay me anything. I just like the website, so happy to give it a shout out. So yes, that's FPL.team. That's the website I'm using right now, because I know a few of you guys will be asking in the chat. And this is a tool I've been using a lot recently to try and plan out my transfer moves and chip usage and stuff like that in the future game weeks. And I have to say, guys, I have spent hours on this. I'm spending like at least a couple of hours every single day trying to figure out the best course of action based on several different scenarios that play out in FPL in terms of fixtures, in terms of results and stuff like that. And you know what? If I want a chance of winning FPL, I'm going to have to spend a couple of hours every day trying to figure stuff out and trying to make sure I'm doing the absolute optimum strategy rather than relying on blind luck, which is which is good. It's good fun. I've become a little bit obsessed with FPL, a little bit more obsessed than usual with FPL recently, which again is fine. I'm really enjoying it, and this is a very brief moment in the sun for me in terms of FPL rank, and I intend to make the best of it, because next season I already know it's not going to be quite as good, but we'll see what we can do anyway. But there we go, guys. This is like I say, FPL.team, really useful website. So guys, I've got, for going into Game Week 33, you can see on here, if I go and pick team, I've got two free oh no, wait, hang on, if I go on transfers, I've got 2 free transfers to use, and I've got 0.5 million in the bank. So we have got some potential here to make a big move. Now, I like the look of a bench boost this game week a lot. More and more. The more I think about it, the more I research it, the more I look at different scenarios playing out, the more I enjoy the Game Week 33 bench boost. Now, the way I'm trying to look at this is not when do we have the most double game weeks, because as you can quite clearly tell, guys, if we look at this graphic again very briefly, the double game weeks, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double game weeks this week. That's not as many as in Game Week 36. Is it even? I mean, it could be just as many, if not more, in Game Week 37. So it's not always about looking for the most amount of fixtures. It's more about at what point between now and the end of the season, and this is what you guys are going to have to work out for yourselves as well. At what point between now and the end of the season is your bench going to look the strongest? And that is not always going to be about double game weeks, because in Game Week 36, for example, we're going to have a lot of our big teams doubling. We're going to have Arsenal doubling. We're going to have Chelsea doubling. We're going to have Liverpool doubling. We've got potentially Man City doubling there as well. And these are the players that are going to be in the starting lineups anyway. Now, the problem will kind of occur when you have players like, I don't know, like Wolves players or Burnley players or Brentford players or Brighton players or Newcastle players, Southampton players, Watford players even. Wait, not Watford. Are they doubling in 36? Yes, they are. No, who do I mean? Southampton already mentioned. Crystal Palace. I think I'm looking for Crystal Palace in my brain. Yes, I am. So in Game Week 36, you're potentially going to have a lot of these players on your bench who don't double. So your bench, is it actually going to look that strong in Game Week 36? And this, by the way, guys, this is very team dependent. It depends on you. It depends on your team. If by Game Week 36 you find fairly naturally that you do have Everton players on your bench, maybe Leeds players on your bench, typically you're not going to have too many of this is what I'm kind of saying. The bench players that you have, and this is why I've kind of worked out for myself that 33 is potentially a better bench boost, because I'm already reasonably well set up for it, and I have 2 free transfers to use. What I'm kind of seeing is that a lot of the bench players, think of your bench players, your typical bench players that you have. You have players like Broja, single game week in 36. We have players like Mateta, single game week in 36. We have players like Livramento, or maybe some Burnley guys that you still got left over. A lot of these players only have single game weeks anyway in game week 36. So is it worth a bench boost? I don't know that it is worth a bench boost if that's what you find your bench is. Now, if you can change that up a little bit, then that's fine. Now, what I will say is game week 37 to me actually looks like it lends itself to a bench boost a little bit better. I look through these fixtures. We've got Jacob Ramsey. He's going to be a bench player for you guys, isn't he? Jacob Ramsey, he's got a double game week there. We've got Gordon, he's got a double game week there. I know those guys have got double game weeks in 36 as well, but you look at their 37 fixtures for Gordon's and Ramsey's, they look a little bit better in 37 if they were to be on your bench. Who else have we got? We've got, obviously, a lot of you guys are going to have Edouard by game week 37. They've got a double game week there, so maybe that's going to be quite nice. So your bench players, your natural bench players, will have double game weeks there. You're going to be playing your main players anyway. You're going to play a Trent, Alexander-Arnold, a Salah, whether or not they have a double game week. You just are. Same with your Spurs guys. So it does, in a way, it doesn't matter if they have a double game week or not when we look at our bench, because you're never going to bench Kane anyway. It's not like we're bench boosting to get more points off Kane. You're always going to have Kane on your starting 11. So yeah, it's very much. I think this is what we kind of got to try and shift our way of thinking a little bit. At what point between now and the end of the season our benches going to look the strongest. And here is an additional factor, which is putting me off the Game Week 37 bench boost. And look, we don't know how this is actually going to play out in actuality, but by Game Week 37, we may see some teams kind of on the beach, nothing to play for anymore. You know, there's going to be no chance of European football. There's going to be no chance of relegation, and we'll see heavy rotation. We always see, when it comes to 36, 37, 38, that is when the rotation starts to creep in a little bit when a team doesn't have much to play for. And sometimes some major players are missing, substituted, just benched, just rested, rotated. Some young players are given the go to see what they can do. Particularly if teams are in other competitions as well and they want to focus their attention on other competitions. We're going to see that with Leicester if they make it all the way through to the final of the Europa Conference League. We're going to see it with, West Ham if they make it all the way as well. There's going to be a little bit of rotation there. So that is the minor risk you take on a 37 bench boost, is because there are some double game weeks there. There will be some double game weeks, but some of the teams won't have very much to play for, and therefore you may find that they rotate a little bit. They'll start to be rotating by particularly the second game of Game Week 37. That's just kind of what happens somewhere. It's not going to be enormous. It's not going to be revolutionary. Most of the main players will still play, but there will be a couple of banana skins there. That's going to be pretty likely, I think. So just want to bear in mind, guys. For me, my bench right now, we'll get rid of this screenshot. The table. My bench already looks pretty good this game week. Now, the reason is that for that is not because I have lots of double game week players. It's because the players that I am unwilling to bench have good single game weeks. So I know Doherty is injured. He's going to be injured for the rest of the season, so he's got to go. That kind of has spoiled the plan a little bit, but we'll try and make it work. And I'll kind of try and explain to you how I'm going to try and make it work. But so let's do that straight away. So I'm pretty confident this is a transfer I'm going to make this game week. So let's just lock that in now for the sake of this stream, because I'm really confident I'm going to make that transfer. And guys, if I'm honest, I would recommend you guys make that. I recommend you guys make that transfer as well if you are feeling in the need to do it. But look at this team then. Ramsdale, double game week, Shard, double game week. But if we look at the single game week players, Cancelo, Robertson, Trent, Kulusevski, Son, Salah. Those are my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 single game week players. There is no way I'm benching any of those players. Like, how can I bench any of those players? I can't. It'll be FPL suicide. I don't want to do FPL suicide. They're not going on the bench. Even though we've got Schmeichel. I mean, arguably you put in Schmeichel ahead of Ramsdale, to be honest. But that would just give us Ramsdale with a double game week, Roberts with a double game week, Weghorst with a double game week, and Breuer with a double game week as well. So 4 players on the bench, all with double game weeks, and we've still got another transfer to use. So straight away, we've got points on the bench here. And I kind of worked it out that this bench, if I kind of swap things about a bit, maybe make one more transfer, I can get this bench to the value of about 20-25 points as a baseline. As a minimum expectation, we'll be talking 1 clean sheet from Ramsdale, or maybe some save points instead. We would hope Ramsdale kind of, on average, you expect maybe 7 or 8 points from a double game week there. Roberts or another defender there, you maybe hope for 1 clean sheet and then just some points for playing. So, what's that, like an average of 6, assuming the clean sheet is not guaranteed. For forwards, these last 2 forwards, I mean, we're kind of expecting 4 points at minimum. Obviously, that I'm going to make more transfers, but we're going to kind of, get a few points out of this, and it will roughly total to about 20 points, which I think is a good bench boost. If you can get 20 points out of your bench boost, I think you're laughing. If you get anything more than that, that's an absolute bonus, and we will be obviously shooting for the bonus. We'll be hoping for a little bit more than 20, but to get a baseline, a very low prediction of 20 points, that kind of thing can only be achieved particularly because our benches are typically not as strong as our starting 11s, that can only really be achieved if you have a lot of double game week players, and that's exactly what we will kind of be looking to do. So, guys, these are the 2 further transfers I'm thinking of making, and I will be taking a -4 for this, truth be told, but I'm going to show you, just so you guys can see what it looks like. I think Weghorst to Wood looks really obvious. Weghorst is, one, not performing. This is a kind of a luxury transfer in a way. I'm not completely set on this one. But Wood, Weghorst, sorry, is not performing, coming off earlier and earlier, being substituted earlier and earlier with each given game. He's barely even taken a shot per game. You are lucky to get a shot per game. Over a double game week, you're probably expecting 1.5 shots. That is terrible for a forward. That really is bad. Burnley against West Ham and Southampton, you would maybe back someone like Maxwell Cornet, who's actually showing a decent bit of form and taking shots on and creating a lot as well, and actually showing something. But Weghorst is just unfortunately not showing us anything, so maybe I keep him and don't take the -4. But alternatively, Wood looks okay. Wood actually looks okay. He's on penalties. He got a goal disallowed last game week as well against Wolves. He looks pretty good. He's got 2 home games against Leicester, who we know kind of sometimes struggle defensively, and that's going to depend on how Leicester kind of line up defensively. Remember, Leicester as well are going to rotate. They are going to rotate, and this is why I'm not massively keen on going for Leicester players, because they got this super important Europa Conference game on Thursday. We already saw rotation in Game Week 32. We're going to see more of it in Game Week 33, that's for sure, particularly if they win, or a lot of their main players play 90 minutes. If you see Maddison and Barnes playing 90 minutes, that's going to spell trouble. If you see Fofana and Evans playing 90 minutes, that's going to spell trouble. And their fullbacks as well, strikers, whatever. There's going to be rotation. We know it. If you want to take a risk anyway on Leicester players, then fair enough. Personally, I'm just going to stick with Schmeichel, because I am worried about the rotation. But yeah, that's going to kind of open up the door to a Wood. It's going to open up to score a goal potentially. It's going to open up the door for a Shah to keep a clean sheet. In that sense, I think some Newcastle players could be pretty good to go for. Crystal Palace are obviously very good when they play at home, but Crystal Palace are going to be away in this game. Newcastle are going to be home versus Crystal Palace, so again, that's going to be quite nice for Newcastle, who have actually been a really good team, with the exception of that Spurs game, where they kind of just lost the plot completely. They have actually been really good, I think. I think they have actually been, one of the better teams in the Premier League, to be honest. Certainly in the top half of teams in terms of performances. And Shah has been very much at the forefront of that. Wood looks like the best attacker to go for, in my opinion, for Newcastle. I'm not saying Newcastle are going to score a lot of goals, but if we are looking for a goal, where's it going to come from? Yeah, let's speculate and guess our main man, Woodsy. So yeah, he would be a good player to go for. And then finally, one more transfer to make it a -4, and this, I'm not sure about this one, but I'm thinking about this. Someone said in the chat, I'll talk about Telles in a minute, but someone in the chat says, how do you see Wood versus ASM and Alan Saint-Maximin? I do prefer Wood to Alan Saint-Maximin, I do. Wood is a little bit more direct, he's taken more shots on, he is being a little bit creative as well, and he's on penalties, and he is 0.1 million cheaper. So in many ways, Wood is kind of seems like the better option. I think Saint-Maximin has kind of been a little bit out of form as well, and I don't know. If it wasn't for Fraser's injury, I do wonder if Saint-Maximin could actually be potentially rotated, because his form has not been fantastic. So I do prefer Wood to Saint-Maximin. That's why he's going into this team. I do prefer him. He would be my choice out of the two. But if you don't disagree and you like the look of Saint-Maximin, then go for him. But I'll let you know, guys, now, you don't get FPL points for take-ons. So, yeah. Wood is definitely the one I would go for out of the two. But who knows what we can theorise and speculate as much as we like. You never know what's going to happen in reality, do you? And then we've got Telles. So Telles is the other player I've popped in there just now. And the reason I'm going for Telles is because I know that Luke Shaw is going to be out for a while. So Luke Shaw is going to be out for a while. That's going to mean that Telles is going to be our main man, who's going to be playing every single game. And particularly, guys, if it turns out that Manchester United have the double-double, it turns out, and we don't know for sure yet, if it turns out they have a game week 34 double game week as well, that would kind of be worth actually going for him. I'm not expecting huge things for him in single game weeks, but if he gets a double-double, that's pretty good. You would really, really hope that Manchester United keep a clean sheet against Norwich. You would really, really hope they would. And I think it's very possible, more than possible. Against Liverpool, not so much. But it's not just the clean sheets with Telles, because we know he's actually a super attacking player. Not only is he on a lot of set pieces, which is fantastic. He is a set-piece specialist in many ways. Telles, he always has been. He's playing pretty advanced. He's creating a couple of chances for his teammates per game. He's taking, I think, almost a shot on per game. So, I mean, he's shooting almost as much as Weghorst, really. So that's a pretty nice thing to have, isn't it, as a defender? And he's playing against Norwich. And as much as Manchester United have been bad recently, and they have had some disappointing results, are they really worse than Norwich? Come on, let's be real. I know, particularly if you're not a fan of Manchester United, you know, you're probably going to want to hate on Man U a little bit. They're not as bad as Norwich, are they? But in addition to this, Telles, super differential. I think it's something like 0.7% owned, ridiculously differential, which is something I quite like. Potentially double game week, which is, again, really nice, potentially. And if not, you know, he's a fairly easy transfer to someone like Reece James as well. So that would work in several ways. So this is a possibility. Doherty to Shah, I'm confident in. Telles, Wood, maybe. I'm not convinced. I think Connor Roberts, I think he's seriously rotation risk at the moment, so I don't really want to take him on a bench boost. Weghorst, I'm more open to taking on a bench boost, but I'm not fully confident. So Telles, Wood, these are kind of players that I'm thinking about moving in. But, you know, there are other options. You know, if we're looking for double game week defenders, if we go through, we can maybe, we wouldn't be looking for a Brighton player, but, you know, we can maybe go for a different Burnley defender. I'm not fully convinced by that, just because Burnley haven't been that good defensively recently, and the fixtures are good, but they're not so good that you would have a sudden reignited confidence in their defence. We could go for a Leicester defender, but I'm really worried about the rotation of Leicester defenders, so much so that I'm not, over a double game week, I'm really not confident in any Leicester defenders, which is why I've gone for Schmeichel, by the way, guys, is because I actually know he's nailed, or hope that he's nailed anyway. We could go for another Newcastle defender and double up with Share and someone else, potentially. It's an option. It's not something I'm massively keen on, but it is an option. Or, I mean, what we'd be doing, we'd be going for someone like, I don't know, I would probably either go for Burn and hope he gets a, you know, basically depend on luck and hope that he gets some kind of corner header or something like that, and you know, play the luck game and just go fingers crossed and hope for some more FPL luck, which I've already had enough of this season, to be fair. Or we go for someone like Walker-Peters, who could be pretty nice. Obviously got a double game week. Arsenal are kind of out of form at the moment, and Burnley are kind of struggling for goals at the minute. But at the same time, do you want to be going for a Southampton defender after we saw what happened against Chelsea last game week? Getting absolutely demolished. That's lost a little bit of confidence, I think, for all of us in the Southampton defence. So, but if I was to go for someone, Walker-Peters, I think, would be a pretty good shout. So that is potentially another move I make instead of going for Telles, particularly if we know Manchester United do not get a double game week in 34. I would be more open to going for Walker-Peters as a little bit of a punt. Again, he's pretty differential, 1.2% owned. Not many people are too heavily invested in the Southampton defence. And with Walker-Peters, we know what he's like. I really rate him as a player. I think he is going to be creating chances. And if Southampton are to score goals, I wouldn't be completely surprised. If we did see, an assist. Goal is probably a stretch too far, but an assist, we could be looking at a 10-point game week for Walker-Peters. You could say a similar thing about Telles if he were to get an assist or something like that, and a clean sheet against Norwich as well. He'll get that before even having to play Liverpool, so that would be pretty nice. I think for the purpose of this video, I'm going to take this screenshot down. For the purpose of this video, I am going to put in Walker-Peters, just because I know I've put Manchester United with a double game week, a double-double, but I'm not convinced enough that's going to happen. So we'll assume it's not going to happen because the chances are there, But honestly, I don't have a clue where to put it. Why not Livramento? Because Walker Peters is a better player. I mean, I could go for Livramento and just have him as a cheap bench option for the rest of the season. How much is Livramento these days? 4.3, there's a little bit of a price, about 0.5 million price difference there. I mean, depending, if I could figure out some plans going forward that lend themselves to that, then maybe. But I think, to be honest, I'm probably going to take Walker Peters to a Reece James at some point anyway. So it doesn't really matter how much value is in this player, because I'm actually going to be looking to upgrade them either way. So there we go. For a -4, that would be my game week 33 team. I would slap on the bench boost. I'll slap on the bench boost like that. Captain Son still, to be honest. I don't think I would captain a double game week player. And that would be, I mean, if we're being realistic, that would be the bench. I mean, who else? If you had these players, guys, who would you actually be benching? I don't really know. I don't really know who you'd be benching. But if that's your bench boost, Ramsdale versus Southampton and Chelsea, Walker Peters versus Arsenal and Burnley, Wood against Leicester and Crystal Palace, and Broja against Arsenal and Burnley. Even if they get 4 points each, which is very possible because they're all reasonably nailed on players, even if they get 4 points each, that's 16 points. If just one of them gets a return, one of them in 8 games, if they get one return out of 8 games, we're already on 20 points. If we get 2 returns, we're heading towards 25 points. 3 returns, we're heading towards 30 points. They've got enough games between them. They've got 8 games between them to get 1 or 2 returns. Someone in the chat says Wood would play for sure. Yeah, maybe, but who for? Kulusevski, Cornet, maybe. I don't know. I think I generally prefer Cornet to anyone on that bench. I think I prefer Kulusevski on a single game week more than anyone on that bench. My Arsenal guys as well. I like Fabian Schär. He's one of my favourite picks for this game week, actually, Fabian Schär. So I would not be considering benching him. So the bench would really look like that. I believe those to be the 4 weakest players in this 15-man squad. And if those are the 4 weakest players in this 15-man squad, what a bench boost, guys. What a bench boost. That is a significant rank gain. That, guys, this team you see in front of you today, even with a -4, that takes me into the top 100. And from there, because I would not have any chips after that, it would be survival week every week, don't get me wrong. But this team, with the bench boost, I mean, you would hope, I'm using a chip for God's sake, this team takes me into the top 100. I really feel strongly about that. I think I'm only 5 points outside of the top 100 as things stand. This team could, with the bench boost, could give me a significant boost in the ranking. This could give me a 20 point, including everyone else's bench boost and everyone else's free hitting. If this goes to plan, this could give me a kind of a 20-point gain on my rivals, which would take me, I mean, how would we work this out? Let's go on FPL Gameweek and switch to I don't know, if I just go to my own league and kind of have a look in the FPL Mate channel league and find someone about 20 points ahead of me to show roughly where that would put me if things go to plan. So we're looking for someone with about 2305 points. So 2305. Okay, let's go for this guy, 2303. So what is his rank? He is 42nd in the world. So if I made an 18-point game, with this bench boost, which I think is so possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we're dealing with possibilities, and we're dealing with trying to get these situations, trying to make the most of what we have in front of us, and see what we can do to try and take us a little bit further. This bench boost takes me to 42nd in the world potentially, top 50. How incredible would that be? Absolutely incredible. Someone in the chat says you don't take the hit for Kyle Walker-Peters. My other option is to play Connor Roberts, and I'm not really happy with that because I don't think he's going to play. I think he may have found himself ousted from the squad, to be honest. But it's one to consider. I'll think about it. But anyway, so that would be my team for that week. Going on to the following week. And let's take the bench boost off for the following week. We don't want that. This would be my team for the following week. We would have a pretty strong team. I think there is a good chance of Chelsea getting a double game week here. If so, we may have to be pretty reactive to that. But I'm not saying it will happen in this game week. It might be 35. But basically, whenever Chelsea get their double game week, and they will get a double game, they will get, well, obviously they've got one in 36, but they will get an additional double game week at some point. It could be 34, 35, or 37. It's going to be one of those three. If it's in 34 or 35, we will make a fairly reactive double transfer. It will be taking a hit again, but we're going aggressive, guys. We want to win FPL. We want to win FPL. We would be taking out a Lacazette and replacing him with Mateta. And then, why is it a bit buggy here? And then we have a choice. I mean, to be honest, we'll probably be looking like kind of more like this, to be honest. Well, I don't know why it keeps trying to give me a bench boost. Because I don't think I play Cornet. Maybe if I just go back and take off the bench boost there, that's going to fix that, hopefully. But yeah, we're pretty lining up something like this. So that's the one transfer. Which would be Lacazette to Mateta, which I think will be a good transfer. And then the second transfer would be to get a Chelsea player. And we have two options here. We either take Walker-Peters to Reece James, or we take Cornet to Kai Havertz. And I believe we can afford them both. We can. Both of them are affordable. So I'd have a choice. I'd have a decision to make. It would very much depend on the minutes that Havertz and James had played. It would depend on whether Chelsea had qualified for their respective tournaments to go into the next rounds. John Patter says, FPL site says Chelsea have their doubles in 36 and 37. Yeah, it does say that right now, but things will change if Chelsea keep progressing through the tournaments. But there we go. What else should I say? So yeah, okay, yeah, sorry. So where were we? Let's assume it's Cornet. So we'll go for Cornet to Havertz, and then we'd have an additional player like that. And then maybe we'd even bench Saka. Maybe we'd bench Mateta. It probably will depend a little bit on form and stuff like that nearer the time. Maybe we'll play Mateta over Wood. You know, there's a few different options there that we could potentially go for. So there we go. Someone in the chat says, I swear he's just copying Andy. I don't know. I don't watch Let's Talk FPL videos, to be honest. I don't know what he's doing. I imagine that his strategy is a little bit different to mine because he's got different chips left. He hasn't even got a bench boost, so he definitely won't be looking to bench boost in 33. So I'm sure there's a difference there at least. So yeah, I would have thought, just by nature of us having different teams and different chips left, our strategies would actually be quite a lot different. But you know, apologies if there are any similarities. I can only, the thing is, in FPL is if you are doing a lot of research, you're gonna come to the same conclusions. You know, two people looking at the underlying stats and concluding that Salah is the best captain or something like that. You don't say one person's copied the other person. You know, both people have looked at the data and they're looking at this because they're looking at the same data. They come to the same conclusion, and that's just what happens when you do your research, I suppose. FPL Plus says, "Love your bold strategy, Dan. Great thinking process." I hope there's a thinking process here, and it's certainly bold. But as I say, I am looking to. I'm looking to see how high I can finish. And if we're going to do that, we're going to have to take some hits. We're going to have to go for some differentials. We're going to have to go for some bold picks. And that's exactly what I want to do between now and the end of the season and hopefully do okay. So there we go. My game week 34/35 team will look something like this. This is what, let's just move this to game week 35 as well, just so you can have a little idea of what it's going to look like there. I mean, we can maybe even take Walker-Peters to, is there any Chelsea defenders under 6 million? I don't know if there is. I mean, maybe Thiago Silva, Alonso, maybe. Press X to doubt. But yeah, potentially we could double up on Chelsea as well. That is an option. We'd probably bring you back in there for this. You take Share out for that and maybe bring back in a Walker-Peters. You know, and then again, we're looking kind of like this for this game week. Game week 36 is where the double is. So we'll either have one or two we could even have two transfers to spend by this point, depending on other things. I won't go through all the different scenarios for you guys because I'm sure that will get very, very, very boring. Yeah, and by this point, we'll have a little bit of freedom. And I don't want to plan into 37 or 38, to be honest, because things change very quickly. So I have some ideas for 37 or 38, but I'm not actually going to go through them with you because so much can change between now and then. There'll be different injuries. The fixture layout could look completely different, blah, 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 blah. But at 36, we'll be looking to get a full team of double game week players. That is doable. What we would need really is... well, we'd probably play Schmeichel there. If we've got 2 transfers, then Walker-Peters and Mateta will be the only 2 players who don't double here. Cancelo, we're probably predicting... I'm probably predicting that Man City are going to double in 36. I think that's pretty likely. So, yeah, that'll just leave us with 2 non-double game week players, which gives us about as much advantage as just about any free hitter in this game week. Maybe... well, by this point, we'll kind of be hoping that we'll have enough of a lead that we can survive Game Week 36. If I'm going for my chips early, which is what I plan to do, it does make Game weeks like Game Week 36 survival game weeks where you're happy with a small red arrow. You're very happy with a small red arrow, to be honest, because, chip weeks, unless you're using a chip, you're not going to gain. So there we go, guys. So yeah, maybe by this point we've moved Kyle Walker-Peters to a Thiago Silva, for example. Or an Alonso or something like that. I don't know for sure. And then, maybe we go for a forward. I know we've got is it Cucho? In fact, you know what? If I actually got rid of Woods and brought in a Cucho on his double game week, this is just an example, obviously, but he'll have a double game week there, pretty decent one at that. We could actually upgrade you all the way up to Reece James with money to spare. So yeah, we'll do something like that. That gives us full team of double game week players, assuming Cancelo doubles in game week 36. And then following game week, like I say, I don't really want to go too far into this, but we bring Mateta into the team here again, and we'll have another transfer to use. We'll probably bring in another double game week players. It's going to depend on who's still in other competitions, who's looking likely to get rotated, this, that, and the other. I can't predict this far for sure, but the team would look roughly like this, which is pretty good. Again, even going into game week 38, the last day of the season, we'll probably play Ramsdale because he'll hopefully be competing for top 4 there. We'll have Saka there as well, competing for top 4. Maybe Chelsea will still have a little bit to play for at this point. Liverpool versus Man City, they'll be both trying to win the league. We've got Spurs, they'll be competing for game week, to finish top 4. And we've got basically a bunch of players, with perhaps the exception of the forward, all with stuff to play for, which is what is so crucial to game week 38. And this is another thing that we've got to start thinking about when we're planning as far as game week 38. By this point, we are going to be looking for players and teams with stuff to play for. If they've got a lot to play for, if they're trying to compete for titles, or Premier League title, European places, to escape relegation, those are the 3 kind of teams we're targeting, because those kind of teams are not going to rotate. They're going to be going full strength. Even if their players have just played 2 days ago, 3 days ago, they will still go full strength because these are must-win games and they cannot afford to rotate. And those are the kind of players we want to be picking out. And early assumptions, that's going to be Arsenal. That's going to be Man City. It's going to be Liverpool. It's going to be Spurs. It's potentially going to be Chelsea, depending on how the top 4 race shapes up. It's potentially going to be Burnley, depending on if they drop too far out of it. Maybe not, but potentially going to be Burnley. Teams like this. Maybe West Ham and Manchester United clawed themselves back into the races for European places. Maybe they're playing for the other European places, the Europa League places, the Europa Conference League places. And these are the kind of teams we want to target. We're not going to be wanting to target teams that are already relegated or cannot get relegated and cannot achieve European football. They're going to be the heavy rotation teams. And there will be a significant amount of teams, probably about, 8 or 9 teams in the Premier League that will find themselves in that very situation, nothing to play for. So, that pretty much concludes my my strategy. 33. Well, from game week 33 to game week 38. I mean, it is rough in parts. I think you have to leave yourself a little bit flexible, a little bit, everything is not necessarily going to go exactly how you plan. We've got a super chat here from Zimmy who says, Dan, should I play a bench boost now? Should I play bench boost now or 36? Need to make a few transfers. If it's only going to take 2 transfers to make an amazing bench boost, do it now. Another thing, guys, I actually forgot to mention as well, by going, and hang on, let me bring back to my Game Week 33 team. So I'll just pop the bench boost on there as well, just so you can see. Another thing I should mention about going for this nice and early bench boost is that you can neglect your bench after. You can just forget about your bench. You don't have to worry about making sure you've got a nice strong bench for your bench boost in 36 and 37. You can concentrate on your starting 11. You can concentrate on making sure you're making effective transfers every week to make sure you've got the best starting 11 possible, and your bench players are going to be kind of just there for the vibes, really. They're just going to be there to really just prop up your team just in case things go terribly, terribly wrong, which they may do, in fairness. But, you know, certainly at the end of the season, if we're making sure we're targeting teams that aren't going to rotate and have lots to play for, there should not be too many benchings. It's difficult to get a bench of those types of players because the players who we typically bench are the cheaper players, and the cheaper players are typically playing for the teams not competing for Europe, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, but I mean, it frees you up. The Game Week 33 bench boost. Not only do I feel works for me personally in terms of the setup of my bench and the free transfers that happen right now, but it's also a weight off your shoulders. And I think that's something you got to remember as well. If you just want that weight off your shoulders, you don't need to focus on your bench. Then fair enough. Maybe it works for you. Albert says, sounds like you're doing just to get a higher rank this game week, and you are, in a way, you're spot on. Yeah, I would be looking to make big moves this game week and basically go into, in a way, survival mode for many of the future game weeks. Yeah, it's aggressive for this game week for sure. But at the same time, and I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the stream, Albert, but I kind of sort of explained that for me personally, it's going to be difficult for me to get to what I think is a strong bench in Game Week 36 and 37. You have to, like I was kind of saying earlier, the bench boost is best used when your bench is at its pinnacle, when your bench is at its peak, when your bench looks the strongest, it's the strongest point it has during the season. That is when you personally should use the bench boost. If that for you is 33, then you bench boost in 33. If you feel like the answer is actually going to be more like Game Week 36, 37, that's absolutely fine. For me personally, I believe it to be Game Week 33. I've run through a lot of different scenarios. I've gone through a lot of different transfer plans of how my bench might look if I was targeting 36 or 37 for a bench boost. They don't look as good just because of the kind of players you naturally find on your bench don't have good double game weeks. So yeah. Don't worry too much about how many teams have double game weeks. Think purely about your bench, what your bench looks like. Matthew Morgan says, you've just explained opportunity cost in FPL terms. Amazing streams. Unsubscribed. Yeah, I mean, that's the opportunity cost. So the opportunity cost of kind of going for a 36 or 37 bench boost is that you are sacrificing the ability to make good transfers for your main team. If you're focusing all of your attention for the next 4 or 5 game weeks just purely on getting a better bench, then you've lost out on the opportunity to bolster your main team. You know, it can work out both ways. It could work out either way. I'm not saying one way is right or one way is wrong, but you know, you make sacrifices in any strategy. The key to any strategy, though, really for me, and I really will reiterate this, is to pick one and commit to it. Go full on any strategy that you do. Don't half-arse it. Don't kind of try and do a little bit of it and kind of leave yourself up. If you have an idea of what game week you want to bench boost, you want a free hit, you want to go all in. You know, don't worry about transferring in players who are going to do really well on the free hit week, because you can just get them in for free on a free hit anyway, kind of thing. Someone says, do you think there's going to be a double game week in 38? No chance of a double game week 38. No chance whatsoever. No chance. Mark says, loving your positivity. Mate, honestly, the game weeks that I've had recently, I've got to be positive. I'm so grateful to be in the position I am within FPL right now. I really am so grateful. It's a dream. It's like a dream come true. When you love FPL like a lot and it is your like entire life, all you want to do is do well. And I know this is a fleeting moment for me. It's not going to happen again. I mean, if I can get a top 100 finish this season, that's it. That, like, you know, that's peak. That's your peak, isn't it, for your FPL life? Your guest says, are you going for the title, Dan? This game week, I'm going hard. Right, okay. In terms of going for the title, going for number 1 in FPL, really what I'm going to do is assess after this game week. After this, because this is the big move, the big bollocks move, basically, is this game week 33 bench boost. Not a whole lot of people are going to be doing it. If people are doing it, they might not be super set up for it, whereas I know I am reasonably well set up with it, with free transfers and already, you know, a lot of double game week players. If I make major moves for a game week 33 bench boost, if I really go up to, I don't know, top 50, top 40, it's unlikely. Look, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it is possible that we go up all the way to 40th. If that happens, then I'm going to potentially look at the difference between me and number 1, kind of start eyeing up what kind of players they have right now, and what natural course of transfers they might take, and we'll go through that. If we get into the top 50, we'll start looking at that kind of thing. On the other hand, if the bench boost only takes me to, you know, as little as, you know, if I get a red arrow on the bench boost, if I go up to 100th, if I go up to 90th, maybe the distance between me and first actually increases, because that's very possible. It could, you know, even if I have a really good game week, the number 1 player could have an even gooder game week. I know that's not the real word, but you know what I mean. They could have if I have a good game week, they have a gooder game week, a better game week. Then I'm probably going to say, okay, now I'm out of chips. I'm out of big power moves. I can still work with a couple of differentials and try and close the gap that way, but I will have 6 game weeks left to close, if I say a 70-point gap, for example. I'm probably going to know that that's not going to happen. And if I know it's not going to happen, I will probably play for the top 100 rather than play for the number 1 spot. If we somehow find ourselves within the regions of top 50, top 40, not saying it's going to happen, it is technically possible, and that's what I'm going to need a hell of a lot of luck. If that were to happen, we would start eyeing up first. If I close the gap between me and first to 50 points, 40 points, then I'm going to be very, very much eyeing up first place. And unless that happens, I'm probably going to play for top 100. So this is my big move. Game week 33 is my big move. If it doesn't work, then fair enough. You know, we will settle for top 100 as if that's a bad thing. It's not. It's a phenomenal thing. It's an absolute phenomenal thing. We will settle for top 100 and be so happy about that. Yeah, it's kind of a win-win situation. It's not technically, it's not always a win-win situation, because if I do find myself going for broke and going for first, I can very much easily slip down to, you know, 500, 600. If I go full-blown, go for first, I am just as likely to really drop down as I am to make ground on first. And I'll do my best to try and pick those differentials, but it doesn't always work out. And I may find myself slipping, particularly if I'm not going for the template players and I'm ignoring the template players. I could find myself actually slipping down the ranks quite significantly. But you know, if how often do you get an opportunity like this? So yeah, I will be going full blind, but only if we make significant gains this game week. If we don't make significant gains, which is entirely possible, just as likely, in fact, as making significant gains, then yeah, we'll probably play for top 100. But either way, I mean, amazing, right? Absolutely amazing. Either way. But there we go, guys. That is that is my thinking. That's the way my brain is working in terms of FPL right now. What we're going to be trying to do. It's going to be an exciting week for me, a really exciting week, and I'm really looking forward to this one and seeing how it plays out. I'm gonna need you guys to wish me all of the luck you have in your powers. If you have any good juju you can send my way, I would really appreciate that. I'm gonna need it. It's gonna be an incredible one for sure. Right, guys, I'm gonna disappear in 5 minutes, but before we do that, I will just try and answer a few of your questions. If you guys have any questions to ask me, I will be more than happy to try and give you a little answer. to the best of my ability and see if I can help you out. So, guys, if you've got any questions in the chat, let me know. And whilst I'm waiting for those questions to come in, guys, if you wouldn't mind liking the stream as well, that would be massively appreciated. Like, yeah, the likes really help out the channel so much. And of course, guys, if you are new around here, you haven't seen my my face before, please do subscribe. And hey, you never know. The chances are very, very slim, but you never know. You might find yourself following the journey of the next, well, this year's FPL #1. You never know. We got a dream. We all got a dream. It's probably not going to happen, but a boy can dream. It's not happening. It's not happening. But, you know, top 100 would be amazing. Would be an absolute phenomenal achievement. You know, my goal at the start of the season was top 10,000. We've smashed that. I think I'd have to lose something like 150 points between now and the end of the season to fail to do that. So that's looking really on. Really on. So let's have a look at some of these questions in the chat. So we've got... Photo says, when should I triple captain and on who? It's kind of up to you. If I bring up this table again, we're kind of seeing some of the double game weeks. So you want to use your triple captain really on a double game week. Salah in game week 36 looks like an option. If you've got no other chips, you've only got the triple captain, then maybe the Salah in game week 36 could be pretty nice. Aside from that, you know, maybe a Man City player, if they get their double in 36, and Cancelo or a De Bruyne in game week 36 could be pretty good. Game week 36, as you can probably tell, is looking like the best week for a triple captain. But at the same time, if you've got another triple chip you want to use there, if you want to use a free hit there or a bench boost there, it might actually be more useful to use the free hit or the bench boost rather than the triple captain. Unfortunately, with the triple captain thing, you kind of missed the main opportunities already. There's been kind of 3 chances to use your triple captain this chip already this season, 3 major chances. And if you haven't taken one of those by now, then hopefully it's because you used other chips in those game weeks, and that kind of frees you up with no other chips, and you can just go for, you know, Salah 36 or Trent 36 or whoever you want to go for that. So there we go. What else have we got here? Olivier says, who are you thinking for captain this game week? I'm thinking Son, to be honest. Even on a single game week. Let's get rid of that. Even on a single game week, I still think we're going for Son at home against Brighton, to be honest. I'm not really liking the look of many double game week players. I mean, if you've got a Bruno, if you've got a Ronaldo, then I would potentially think about going for one of them. But aside from that, Son, Kane, Salah, the usual boring suspects, I think, again, are going to be the popular choices, to be honest. And Andrea says, best long-term replacement for Doherty is Laporte. Changed my mind. Okay, I'll try and change your mind. John Stones is in phenomenal form right now, and Diaz is back in training. There could be rotation for Laporte. All I'm going to say on that one. Elliot says, best forwards on a free hit. So this game week, if you're on a free hit this game week, you're going to be looking at Cristiano Ronaldo. You're going to be looking at Chris Wood. You're going to be looking at pretty much just those two. Maybe Che Adams, possibly. But yeah, those are going to be your 3 main men. I mean, maybe you could even go for Kane on a single game week, to be honest, in terms of forwards for a free hit. Ramsdale and Weghorst to Schmeichel and Wood for a -4. Probably not, to be honest. I don't know if I take Ramsdale out for a -4. Remember, Ramsdale does have a double game week this game week as well. I don't think there's going to be a huge amount of difference between the scores of Ramsdale and Schmeichel. They're probably predicted to have a similar score. I do think Arsenal were fairly unlucky, actually, in that Brighton game. I know they lost again, and on paper that looks pretty bad, but I've got a little bit of confidence that if they put in get a similar amount of chances they did against Brighton, against Southampton, they should win there. So yeah, I don't think Ramsdale's a player you must remove. Ramsdale also has a double in 36 as well, so you're going to want him for a game at 36 potentially. Carl says Salah to KDB, mental or worth thinking about? No, I think it's worth thinking about. If you are really trying to close a gap, you kind of feel like you're not having the season you hoped for, and you want to make a big move, then that would be a big move. On the other hand, I think I would want to keep Salah, because Salah against Manchester United, we know what happened there last time, right, guys? And Salah's underlying stats are looking really good. I think he looked okay against Man City as well, even in a tough game like that. I'm expecting Salah to get back to goals very soon, and I think it could happen as soon as this game week. KDB, on the other hand, is he's going to get points, don't get me wrong, but is he going to get as many points as Salah? If Salah finds his form again, Salah will outscore KDB. So yeah, I think I would keep Salah, to be honest. But it's an option to go for KDB instead. Lou says, which Leicester defender would you recommend? I am going to be honest with you. I do not recommend any Leicester defenders. They are very, very much rotation risk. You're kind of in big trouble with that one. Goya on the super chat says, I'm planning on making a -4 for using bench boost, but I haven't used my wildcard either. Any advice? My advice would probably be to not do that. If you have to take a -12 to use your bench boost, it probably suggests that you're not very well set up for this game week, and maybe you should gradually work towards a bench boost in a future game week. And, you know, if you've got a wild card in hand, you're not even going to need to use a lot of transfers to create a decent bench boost team. So what I would suggest to you is use a wild card in game week 34 or game week 35 with a bench boost in 36 or 37 in mind. And remember, focus on the quality of your bench, not the starting 11. When you're mapping out what your team might look like in game week 36 or what your team might look like in game week 37, put the best 11 players on the pitch, whether they have a single game week or a double game week, and look at the 4 players on the bench. At what point does that bench look the best? And that is when you're going to bench boost there. But yeah, like I say, if you're going to have to take a -12, you're going to have to take a -8 to get a bench boost this week, probably means you're trying to force it a little bit. And I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should force it. David said, thoughts on Edison? I don't mind it I don't mind him as a pick. If you've got a lot of money to burn and you just want to get on the Manchester City defence, you just want to take the 6 points every week, then why not? Defray K says, if you weren't bench boosting, how would your team look? It would look pretty similar. I mean, my starting 11 would look exactly the same. My starting 11 would look identical. So not much different. So I just wouldn't be playing a bench boost. And then we've got loads of specific questions to your specific teams, which I don't really want to talk about too much because it's a little bit boring to other players. Plus, we're past 9. Yeah, sorry we couldn't take too many questions today, but I did kind of, you know, I wanted to make the main focus of this stream going through game week by game week, kind of looking at some of the double game moves, going through some strategy. It is meant to be a strategy stream, isn't it? So yeah, I wanted to kind of talk you through my strategy. I know a lot of you guys on last week's deadline streams and preview streams really wanted me to talk about my own strategy. Didn't do it in those streams because I wanted to answer your questions there. So today I've tried to talk about my own stuff, and yeah, apologies I haven't been able to get to all of your questions in the chat. But guys, if you want to leave a comment on the video after the video is a video, or if you're watching this as a video, if you want to leave a comment in the comment section on YouTube, then I will try and my best to answer as many of you guys as possible. I've got a little bit of spare time, so I can spend an hour maybe answering some of your questions in the chat. So just not in the chat, in the comment section. So do feel free to put something in there. But there we go, guys. That is going to be the end of the stream today. Hopefully this is still short enough to be watchable as a video. I know we've gone on quite a long time today, just over an hour. But yeah, guys, before you go, please do leave a like. Massively appreciate it. Please do subscribe if you haven't done already. And without further ado, guys, I think we should probably end the stream finally. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate the hell out of you guys. You guys are absolutely awesome. And yeah, I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.